Hey there, everybody. Fly I'm going to tie for you today is my kind of classic pheasant tail non-bead head. This is the one I will use this sometimes in a euronymphing rig as kind of a dropper fly, but I also use this as my dropper in a dry dropper rig, simply because it's not as heavy or flashy as a bead head. I still do tie obviously bead head pheasant tails, but this is my kind of classic one. So if this is going to be in a euronymphing rig, then I will put a few wraps of lead wire on it. If it's not, if it's just going to be for dry dropper, okay, then generally I won't. But in this case, I'm going to tie it with just a little bit of weight. The advantage of this is obviously weight, but it's also good because it can help me to make sure that my thorax gets a little bit fatter when I'm tying the fly. So just a little bit there at the thorax. Okay, so there we go. We've got our lead wraps on there. Going to be using UTC 140 olive thread for this fly. So I start my thread behind the lead wraps. Then I make sure they're good and squished together. And then I cross over in front of them and put a few wraps down in front. And then I work my way back over them again and just kind of secure them down so that they stay where I want them to, which is obviously right there where the thorax is going to be later. And then I just make sure that I coat the thread, and woohoo, that's close. I snagged it there on the hook point and almost lost it. So obviously be mindful of that. So at this point here, I just changed the position of the hook a little bit because I'm going to be tying on the tails. It's easier if the butt end of this scud hook is sticking up. Incidentally, this is a size 14 scud hook. So it's a Sierra Fly Hooks 2457 number 14. And it's a offset nymph pupa hook. All right, so we've got that set up. Okay, next thing we need is obviously the thing that gives this fly its name, some pheasant tail. And so I'll be taking, for the tail, I usually use 4 or 5, that's 6 pieces there for the tail. So there's 5. So I just pull those off, make sure the tips are at least somewhat aligned. Just wants to point the other way. All right, so don't want my tail to be too long, maybe about like that. So I'll switch that measurement over to my other hand, get my thread right back to the bend of the hook here and get those secured, and then just adjust the length to probably about there. Just give those a couple of good tight wraps to make sure they stay secure. Before I go wrapping those, I obviously need to tie in the wire that I'm going to use. I use all different colors of wire on these just so I have kind of a selection in my fly box. Copper is obviously kind of the most common one, but I'll use gold, I'll use even chartreuse and red sometimes. Today I'm going to use this hot yellow. I don't know why, it's the first spool I grabbed, so that's what we're using. And good tip here, I always keep a crappy pair of scissors around for cutting wire, because obviously you don't want to use your good tying scissors for that, or they'll be dull, notched, useless in no time at all, and you don't want that. Okay, so we got our hot wire, our hot yellow here. Okay, got nice good tying in there. I'm just going to pull those pheasant tail fibers back for right now while I secure that wire in. And that also lets me move my thread towards the front of the fly here, actually up to the thorax, which is where I'm going to tie these in a few minutes. So just start the wrapping process here, taking advantage of those great kind of natural properties of the pheasant tail. So they're just kind of touching wraps, working our way forward towards the weight. Okay, now we're up there, and I usually go onto the weight before I start tying it down, and that again just helps me get a nice, more natural looking taper. Okay, and now I'm also going to readjust the position of the hook here and cut off the excess like so. All right, now when I tie these flies, and when I tie any fly basically that has wire on it, I counter wrap. Counter wrapping just, I find, kind of increases the durability of the fly. Try and get those spaced fairly evenly. And then I tie it in on the top. Okay, tie that down and then helicopter it off. Okay, so now we've got the abdomen, nice evenly spaced wraps. You got the nice tail here, splayed out, not too terribly long. And we're going to need some more pheasant tail, because this is now going to be our legs. So I usually get 8 of these. And there we go. So this is going to be the legs as well as kind of the wing case of the fly. Now, oftentimes people struggle, and I did for the longest time as well, getting the length of the legs right. And then I saw a cool little trick online that says, basically take the legs, and if they're as long as the hook, reaching to the end of your tail, when you wrap them over, they'll be the right length. So what I do is I just put them on there. I can see that they reach to the tail. Transfer that measurement over to my other hand and tie those down. Okay, and then I'm going to tie these all in like so, and then I make sure I get kind of a taper for the what's going to be the head later. And I'm just going to cut those off now. And I'm going to once again just adjust the angle of the fly slightly here as I work. Just go back over and kind of coat it all. And I'm going to work my way back, because now I need to tie in another one of those magical natural materials, Peacock herl. Now, when I do this, I usually use 2 pieces. So there's 1. You can't see it because I put it out of frame. And 2. This is a small fly, so I use 2. If this was a bigger fly, I was tying this for some reason in a size 12 or something like that, then I'd probably use 3. Okay, now another tip. This is one I learned the hard way a ton of times. The tips of Peacock herl are brittle. Cut them off. They're just going to break off if you don't. Okay, so I'm going to get those in. Tie them in on my side so you're not seeing them over there. All right, and then wrap them. Now, some people twist them together. I sometimes do, I sometimes don't. And then be careful not to catch them on the hook point, because if you do, they'll break. Okay, there we go. Those off. Set those aside. Okay, so now here's the part that's the tricky part. Okay, we're gonna pull the legs over. Whoop, I bent that one. I'm gonna pull the legs over, and I'm just gonna adjust this so you can kind of see what I'm doing on the top here. Okay, so I'm gonna pull the legs over and just push them down, and then tie them in right near the head. But I'm actually going to work my thread back a little ways here. Okay, so that's what they look like right there. And then this is the little trick. Push them back with your thumbnail, and that can help you to split them into 2 even groups, because obviously that's what you want. Now I'm going to move this back and lock it in place, or I won't be able to finish tying it. Okay, so now I've got 4 on this side, 4 on that side, and I'm just going to secure them down. So now you can see there they are. Okay, and they're tucked back, and they're, at least for me, I like that length. So there we go, got that length. Oop, too far. Okay, so we got that length down. Now I'm going to whip finish this puppy. And then we'll put a little UV goo on the wing case and call that one a success. Okay. All right, so we got a little bit of an olive head there as well. And I want that. It was kind of on purpose. I know I didn't mention anything about it before, but okay. So we get a little bit of an olive head, and we got our wing case there. And now I'm going to put a little bit of thin Loon UV Cure on there. And that really makes the wing case pop. And it also acts as head cement on the threads up at the top here. Okay, so we got that on there. Shot with the torch. Okay, so now you can see there's quite a big difference after you put that stuff on. It magnifies it and just makes it stand out. So there you have it. That's just my standard pheasant tail that I use as a dropper. This one here, obviously, like, it's got a little bit of weight in it, but not a lot, so I could use it for dry dropper or for my Euro rig, but this would probably be for my Euro rig with the extra weight. So there you have it. There's my classic pheasant tail. Hope you enjoyed that. If you found it useful, give me a thumbs up or like, leave comments. I answer and read and answer all the comments that you leave. Love chatting with you about fly tying, fly fishing. It's great to get in touch with people. If you're looking for a guided trip in the southern Alberta area, I'm starting to do that this summer. Feel free to contact me through email. I have a website that I'll link to in the description. You can check that out. Walk and wade trips into the Alberta backcountry. So hope you enjoyed the video, and tight lines. We'll talk to you later.